Good evening. Time is 7:30 p.m. At this time, I'd like to call the City of Twinsburg regular council meeting for April 25th, 2023 to order. We are at the Twinsburg Government Center Council Chambers. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Here.
Mrs. Walker?
Present.
Mr. Deeds?
Here.
Mr. Bellin?
Here.
Mrs. Labby? Here. Mr. Fury?
Here.
Mr. Post?
Here.
Thank you, Shannon. At this time, Mrs. Walker will lead us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of community. Fill us with your grace as we make decisions that affect all of our residents and businesses and our dedicated city employees. Bless those away from us serving to protect our country. We ask these things in your mighty name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker.
You're welcome.
At this time, I'd like to inquire if everyone has had a chance to review the minutes of the regular council meeting of April 11th. If so, is there any discussion regarding the minutes for that meeting?
I'd like to make a motion that we accept the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Mr. Fury made a motion to accept as submitted. Mr. Post seconded. Is there any further discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mr. Barr?
Yes. Approval of the minutes passes 7-0. Shannon, do we have any awards or presentations this evening?
There are none.
Moving along, audience participation. Do we have any audience participation?
We do. We have two. First, Bob Hughes.
Good evening, Council, Director, Mayor, and all helpful people in this organization here. Bob Thews, 2229 Demi Drive, in the Meadowood Plan. I'd like to speak about the meeting of the Charter Review Commission. We had minutes from one of those meetings. The first step in the charter review process is to read the charter correctly and then to meet those requirements. It requires the appointment of 9 qualified electors holding no other office or appointment in the city. Have we done that? It would be a shame and a costly mistake to have the results of this in court and decided by a judge because that requirement was not met. Secondly, it would be nice. In fact, how about getting the Twinsburg website, American Legal, and their charter, and all related documents reading the same thing? When you read each one, they each say something different. There is no such thing anymore as the Twinsburg Development Foundation. Okay? And we, as a city, voted in 2018 to eliminate it off all the information. But if you take a look at the information, it's still on some of it. Some of it's not on, some of it's on. So from consistency standpoint, it's horrendous trying to follow through on something like that. Now I'm going to add one thing that I had not planned to add, but I will, because the previous discussion at the caucus about talking directly to people and dealing with issues and getting answers. Well, I will tell you directly and very responsibly, and the members of the council all know this. I spoke directly with the chairman of the council several years ago about election inequities and wrongs. I spoke directly to him, and instead of giving me a direct answer, he ran and hid under the skirt of the former mayor. And that former mayor, with the complicity of this council, then decided to put me on trial at this meeting. So I can understand why anybody would not want to direct anything directly to you if that's the way you get treated. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Bob. That means a lot coming from you, especially since you did such a wonderful job of telling me what a great person I am during that time. By the way, I don't work for the Board of Elections. When you accosted me at that meeting to complain about something I had no control over. So we don't need to go back to that.
It wasn't the Board of
Thank you
Elections,
for sharing.
it was the city of Twinsburg.
Shannon, who else is going to speak this evening?
Next, we have Michael Turrell.
And that was proven by the Board of Elections.
You're out of order, sir.
Mike Turrell, 9930 Forest Lake Drive. That was a little bit disappointing that we continue to hold our residents to a higher standard than we hold ourselves sometimes. Sometimes it's just better to say nothing, which you guys tell me all the time, and I try to, and sometimes I don't, but just my 2 cents. I came up here tonight to speak on a meeting I had with Mr. Scafidi last week. I want to thank him for his time. He invited me, it was actually more of a call out, and actually very deserving so, that I had not met with him about his vision for the city or his plan or his direction. And so I called and scheduled a meeting where he spoke with me about those things. It was a great meeting. It really was. It was open conversation back and forth, and we could actually, I felt like we went back 15 years from when I first met you and you came and you sat down on my porch when you were running for Ward 1 for the first time. That was good. I told him at the start of the meeting that I was going to ask some questions that he might not like, and that's okay, and he didn't have to answer them, and that was okay. I would respect his right to not answer, and I would not dance around a question trying to get an answer. I would simply move on, which I did. He answered everything that he could. There were some things that he could not speak on due to reasons beyond his or my control or anything. But I do appreciate the information, and I am enlightened and excited about the direction of which we have. With that in mind, it gives me hope for this new administration that is not tied to or beholding to the previous administration. This is a new administration, it's a new council, and we're going to move forward with Mr. Scafidi. And I'm hitching my wagon to that cart, definitely. With that in mind, it gives me hope to go back and revisit some of the ideas that I have presented to council over these last 10 years that many of them I have seen go on in other communities, and they have actually been developed and have been quite successful. Some of them are still ongoing. Some of them I haven't checked in on a while, like my whole idea of Twinsburg Old School becoming a arts and community center, which that ship has long since sailed, but that was proven without a doubt in these very chambers that there was no legitimate reason for tearing it down. Every reason that it was thrown out there was completely obliterated with facts and records from City Hall, but whatever. Different things prevailed on that. There was examples of that exact same use that I had in Euclid, in Solon, Cuyahoga Falls, Wayne County, but that one's gone. Maybe there's another way we can do something like that for our residents. One of the other ideas that I had that I saw in real life was the Food Truck Friday that I threw out, that the residents absolutely love that idea of parking trucks on the square on a Friday night, and people can come out, stop in on their way home. One time I'm in downtown Cleveland working. I just came out at lunch at the old courthouse, Cuyahoga County Courthouse, and here's 4 food trucks lined up right there on Huntington Park, I think is the name of it. There's actually a police officer memorial. I go over there and I look for Josh's name on there. And there were all these trucks lined up there, there'd be 1,000 people out there just for lunch in an hour. I thought that was amazing. You know, you bring out that little community of the downtown buildings, and that's something that I'm going to try to represent at one point in time. My whole idea of the tree nursery, I think, is still a great idea. I have proof positive of that in my backyard. The numbers that were thrown out here are completely ridiculous. I don't know where those numbers came from, but those numbers aren't even close to $1 million. That's just exaggeration and elaboration. But regardless, if someone is serious about looking into that, we can have discussions about that. Flooding solutions for our Center Valley Park. Every time we get good rains, Tinker's Creek comes up. On occasion, it spills over. And then I found 2 years ago an article where Middleburg Heights is doing that exact same thing. And that is in the process. That article is only 2 years old. I just looked it up. I haven't followed up on that, on how that progress is going. The biggest problem they have is securing the land to do that, to form what is called a detention basin. A retention basin, everybody's heard that. We have those all over the place. They're just a big dry hole that when it rains, they fill up with water, and then water goes out. A detention basin holds water, and then when the water comes in, it spills out. So with that, my time is up, but I would like to thank Mr. Scafidi and council and everyone else. And let's, the last idea I presented, with your grace, Council President, 30 seconds?
Sure.
Promise, was I mentioned to Mr. Scafidi about addressing people after they present. Because the only time that, you know, I have a friend who came to council regularly and he felt like he was being ignored. Hasn't been here since. Been coming here for years. 3rd generation Twinsburg resident. And it means a lot to the residents. It'll be a little bit more warm and inviting if we can get your response as we present, rather than waiting all the way to the end of the meeting when things aren't quite in their context, or having to wait another 2 weeks to get that. With all due respect, that back and forth is your business and not mine. It's unfortunate that all of that came about, all of it, both sides. But that is something that Mr. Scafidi said that he would be interested in doing, that when he was council president, he would always say, does anybody have anything? And something maybe you guys can kick around, whatever. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Shannon, anyone else?
That's all we have.
That moves us along to council communication and committee reports. Mr. Bellin, would you be so kind to start us off this evening?
Yeah, good evening. I attended this evening's public hearing about driveway construction standards referenced in Ordinance 44, 2023. There were no public participation at that particular event. I also attended this evening's Finance Committee meeting. I'd like to welcome once again Ms. Conway. I'll defer to Mr. Fury for the full report there. The next Finance Committee meeting will be on Tuesday, May 23rd, 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers. The Safety Committee will meet on Tuesday, May 9th at 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers. And the next meeting of the Public Works Committee will be on June 13th at 6 p.m. here in Council Chambers. As we've already discussed this evening, the zoning code update is underway. The initial public outreach survey has been placed on Together Twinsburg. The survey will be open until April 28th. To visit, go to togethertwinsburg.com or mytwinsburg.com and click on the banner at the top. The first public outreach session will be held on June 28th from 4 to 6 p.m. Location to be determined. Nothing further this evening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Bellin. Mr. Dees, good evening.
Good evening. I'm going to apologize in advance. I forgot my glasses. I have notes here for myself, and I'll do my best to get through these.
Sounds good.
I did attend the community relations meeting last Thursday. Two, I thought, very interesting things on there. One, there's mini golf at the library this Friday and Saturday evenings. I don't have the times here with me, but anyone interested to take your kids to mini golf, and I think there's a little bit of more of an adult thing one of the 2 nights, or maybe later tonight, check in with the library, but they're going to have mini golf actually inside the library, which is kind of neat. We have such a great library here. I think it'll be, a great event for a lot of people. And number 2, in talking with the folks from the township is actually starting some plans for renovations of the square. As we all know, we own all the land around the square, but we don't own the square. And the township is actually just in the infancy of kicking off some plans to do some renovations to the square. They talked about maybe moving some items around, new sidewalks, some other things. Mayor, I have not even had this conversation with you, but with your permission, I would like to reach out and we start those discussions. So once we are ready to start our plans, we can make certain that that everything's cohesive in stuff we're doing. So we need to have some further conversation, but I thought that was very, very positive for everyone. I also attended the Finance Committee meeting this evening. I think Mr. Bellin already hit on that one. There's a Board of Zoning Appeals meeting tomorrow night here in Council Chambers at 6:30. And then there will be a JEDI meeting on May 8th at 6 p.m. in Council Chambers. I'll be there for that one. And anyone else who would like to attend, please do. It's great things happening there at JEDI. And that's all I have for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deeds. Mrs. Walker, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. I also attended the community relations meeting, and it was a great meeting. The superintendent of schools was there. She gave us a lot of information. I'm waiting to get some minutes because it was recorded by someone, and I'm sorry I can't tell you more about what happened because I did not get the minutes. But our next meeting is going to be, I think, in July, and the time is already set at 8 o'clock in the morning again, so I can't sleep until 9 o'clock, so I got to get up at 8. And then what I'm going to do, I was telling the mayor that once they come out, that I was going to make breakfast for them and, you know, just have like a nice kumbaya meeting with this community relations group because they are really good. They have a lot of great ideas, and all is welcome. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Mr. Ferry, good evening.
Good evening. The Finance Committee met this evening at 6:15. Items for discussion were an introduction by our new Finance Director, Mrs. Christina Conway. Our new Finance Director is asked if we would change our process of annual budgeting to do a permanent budget in December as opposed to a temporary, and then a permanent as we're allowed to in March the following year, which I think is going to be fine. We've done it both ways. She's asked that we do some tweaking to the Capital Improvement Board schedule is in August and September in conjunction with what the department heads would like to see and the mayor's office. So I look forward to working with you. If you're interested in financial information for the city, you go to the city's website and click on the top government. You'll see all the departments. If you go to the finance department and click on it, you'll see access to all the financial documents that you'd ever need. You can see the monthly reports, the annual reports. You can get the Ohio checkbook is on there that we were asked to participate in. All of our audits are there. If you have any questions, you can use Together Twinsburg that Mayor Scaffidi's implemented. There's also minutes and videos and recordings of all of our meetings. So if you're interested in financial information for the city of Twinsburg, please get it from our website or ask the finance department because that's a reliable source. Our statement of cash for at closing on March 31st shows that we started with a beginning balance of our general fund at $15.8 million, and we are sitting on $37 million in cash at this time. Again, this document is available as a monthly report on our website. Our next meeting for the Finance Committee will be on May 23rd at 6 p.m. This Friday is my birthday, and I am going to be sponsoring a Wounded Warriors campaign on my Facebook site. My father was a Army veteran, and I'm a Marine Corps veteran, and in his honor, I am willing to match dollar for dollar anybody that donates to Wounded Warriors this month on my Facebook site. And that's all I have this evening. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Thank you for your service. Mr. Post, good evening.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Let me write down one date there. All right, so I also attended the finance meeting this evening, and Christina Conway joined us for her first finance meeting, and big shoes to fill, many big shoes to fill over multiple finance directors, but after getting to know you a little bit, I think you are going to do just great.
Thank you.
And I think I speak for everyone when we're all very excited to have you and look forward to many good things. So welcome, welcome. I did also attend the Charter Review Committee. We've had a couple meetings, and we're reading through it over 6 different sessions. We met on April 18th. We're going to meet again April 27th in a few days. May 11th, May 25th. And if we need it, we'll do one more in June. Those are 6 o'clock here. What we're doing is reading through the charter, seeing anything that still applies, doesn't apply, removing things that are just kind of obsolete, and streamlining things to make the process better. You have a document that was created so long ago, and we have, real life happens, and you want to make sure that the document matches real life. And so that's what we do every 5 years. And so if you want to attend, they're 6 o'clock. They're open to everybody, as is every meeting. Planning Commission, I already talked about that in caucus, so I don't want to rehash what we talked about in caucus. That meeting was a couple weeks ago. The next meeting is potentially on June 26th. I'm not sure, they said, if there's going to be any agenda items, so that meeting might be canceled. So with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Post. Mrs. Labby, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you, and good evening, everyone. I also attended finance in the public hearing today. Christina, way to hit the ground running. I like that you already put your own spin on things after just 2 days of work. Good job, like a strong woman. And ARB met Thursday the 20th. At the meeting, the following cases were approved: 230417, 2693 Post Road for Home Edition, and 230418 Crown Road Cemetery, 2 replacement signs. The next meeting is May 4th at 6 p.m. The next Wednesday's meeting is May 3rd at 7 p.m. And the next Jedi meeting, like Jeff said, is May 8th at 6 p.m. I will be attending this coming Thursday, the next Parks and Rec meeting here at Council Chambers at 6:30. Rock the Park tickets go on sale May 1st. Don't be late. There's some good tickets to be had, and you don't want to miss out on them. On sale now is the water park passes, picnic shelter rentals, and garden plots at the community gardens. Seniors sign up for AARP Safe Driving May 2nd, Moulin Rouge at the State Theater on June 8th, and Guardians vs. Athletics Games June 22nd. That's all for me tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Labby. I just be brief. I want to springboard on something that Mr. Deeds mentioned. The mini golf is Friday, April 28th. It's an adult-only event, 21 and older, from 6 to 9:30 at the library. And on Saturday, April 29th, it's all ages are welcome from 10 to 3. So, sounds
Thanks for the
fun.
clarification.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate you mentioning that.
Leave your kids at home on Friday night.
Sounds like a win. I attended this evening's Finance Committee meeting. Mr. Fury reported on. None of my other committees have met. Mr. Mayor, good evening.
Good evening. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Council. A couple things that I want to hit on tonight. First of all, I always like to talk about our ribbon cuttings and our new businesses. And we did have another new business come into town within the last 2 weeks. It is called the Community Bound Agency, or the New Day Leaders. And what this agency does, and they've got a really good director there, Marcella Singleton. She opened up this business, and what it is for, not for children, but it's for young adults who have disabilities or maybe on the autism spectrum, and they need a little bit of help. They need help, learning and being taught how to work out in the community or out in a business with other people. And actually, their slogan is, and I really like it. It is committed to supporting individuals to work towards a greater, more independent tomorrow. And so it's giving these people an opportunity to go out there and, again, be able to mix in with the crowd. And I'm seeing more and more in some of the local stores. I believe Market District has them in Giant Eagle, that these young people that are, have this disability or on the autism spectrum, they're out there and they're in the public and they're working and they're doing a good job. And I mean, it helps them, their self-esteem, but it's also helping them earn a little bit of money and, work towards their future as they grow and learn how to go out into the public and be a good part of our society. So I'm proud and happy to have that in our city. She's got a nice following already of people there. When we toured the facility, she's really got a lot of good things going on there and a lot of students there. So hats off to her, to Marcella. She's doing a great job. I wanted to talk about, if you guys remember, a couple of meetings ago, we had some residents here from Timothy Lane and Glenwood. And we also had residents here from the Lake Plata area talking about the speeding in their areas and on their streets. Just so you know, just to catch you up, the police department has been working with them closely, the chief and some of the lieutenants. They've been working with them. We've got the speed signs going up there. It seems to be helping. It's curbing some of the speeding that's going on. And I know in the Lake Plata area, if you remember, he was looking to purchase his own speed signs. And so we're working through some of that to see if that's even doable for us, if they can do that, because then they're going to have to take care of anything that they put up there. They made recommendations of signage that they'd like to see going up, and we're working through that signage. So I just want everybody to know we didn't forget about it. We're working on it, and we're going to continue to work on it to make those neighborhoods safe. Mr. Post, the golf course at Glen Eagles, we've had a resident that had a little issue with some water in their backyard. Just want you to know, a follow-up to that is that we will be, the service department will be cutting that swale this week that we talked about on our property to drain that water so it doesn't overflow. But I think now with the rain, it might be a little different story. When we went out there the other day, the weather was perfect for it. Unfortunately, they weren't able to do it that day, but we are working on that as well.
Do you want me to reach out and let her know?
She came out. She was there. Yeah, she came out. No problem with that.
You're going to plan on doing it this week. Does she know that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we told her that.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah. The Twinsburg Township, our fire contract is coming up. Mr. Fury, I know you've asked about that. Just want you to know that we're trying to get a head start on that as well. We have a meeting scheduled, I believe, this Friday to start discussions with the law director, the chief, and myself, and we're going to start those discussions and see if we can't get a heads up on that contract and
Thank you.
get things settled. So I just want to make sure you're aware of that. Finally, NOPEC. I've received a lot of calls. I know NOPEC sent out this little flyer to everybody that was on the electric program, and we've been flooded with calls. Everybody's been asking about what's going on with the electric. NOPEC has, and if you read this, it's a little confusing, and I understand it, but they've got some options for you to choose from if you decide to stay with them. I went to when NOPEC left us last fall, I believe it was. My electric switched over to Ohio Energy, right? And I've been paying like 5.38 per kilowatt hour. So now they're coming up with, and they're saying that their rates are going to go up. It's been on television. They've got commercials on it now that they're looking to increase their rates, and they could possibly double or go to like to $12. So what we think right now is a really good deal is not going to be a deal very soon. So NOPEC was able to negotiate a deal that from June, with your June meter read all the way through December, their rate is $6.45 a kilowatt hour. Or 6.45. After that, they've got a 12-month rate that you can go at 6.87, or a 24-month at 6.85. So your first leg of that is you'd be locked in for June through December, but then there's no guarantee after that rate could go up, and it could fluctuate after that. So if you choose to go with the 24-month, you're at 6.85, and then you're locked in for 2 years, or the 12-month at 6.87. So they've given you some options, but I always want the residents to know that that's the supplier, that the aggregate supplier for the city. But you're not locked into that. You can go, and anybody that finds a better rate out there, you're more than welcome to go and leave NOPEC and go on your own and sign your own agreements with whatever company you choose if you find a better rate, and there'll be no penalty to do that. So, and same thing, even if you go with the aggregate right now, because if you were currently with them and you receive this letter, you're going to be automatically moved over to their new rate, to the new program. Unless you opt out ahead of time. And that they have a form in there that you can fill out and send in, or else you can call them and opt out as well. So we've tried to put that out. We did a reverse phone call. I put out a message, I think it was last Thursday or Friday, to all the residents that are on that get that call. We put it in the city newsletter that went out last week as well. So, we're trying to get the message out to everybody as much as we can. But again, the phones are still ringing, and, we're answering those questions the best that we can and trying to help everybody to understand where we're at. This does not affect your gas. The gas is with IGS that we negotiated with last year, and so that'll remain constant at what you're currently paying now if you're with IGS or if you're with the city program. So this is just electric for us. And that's it. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. Oh, finally, we threw Rebecca's name around here a few times tonight. Just want to let everybody know that today Rebecca gave birth to a little boy. And so I just want to wish her the best, and best of luck to her new little son, and her current little daughter and her husband. I wish them all well. And we look forward to Rebecca coming back probably in a couple months. She'll be out on maternity leave. But they're all doing well now. So I just wanted to pass that along to everybody. That's the end of my report.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Do we have any department heads reporting this evening, sir?
We do. We have, who's reporting tonight? I have, Ski's going to report. Dennis Sadlowski, our service director, also known as Ski.
My friends call me that. Good evening, Council, Mayor. Road maintenance to date, we patched 872 potholes citywide. We used 8.5 tons of the cold patch mix. For our snow and ice season totals, we responded to 15 events. We used 3,457 tons of salt and serviced 21,350 miles. Branch shipping program, we completed our first round on 4/13, where we serviced 855 homes and dumped 231 yards of wood chips. Our litter pickup, service department, we completed 2 rounds of citywide pickup. To date, we removed 45 bags of debris, equaling 1,125 pounds of debris, trash. Service program updates, citywide restorations due to hydrant replacements and or turf damage by snow plowing is scheduled for the first week of May. I know you asked about that. Thank you. Street sweeping program started on 4/13. Our crack sealing program is scheduled to start the second week of May, weather pending. Can't do it when it's wet. Leaf program is scheduled for October 16th. Our tree pruning program is postponed until mid-November, where we'll resume the Chamberlain Road area. All the little branch streets off of Chamberlain Road, we'll continue that. Building maintenance projects, we completed the finance department upgrade this past week, and had nothing but compliments from my guys. Kudos to them. Streetlight outages, to date we have 201 bulbs that have been replaced, 12 heads have been replaced, and 14 wiring faults have been repaired. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thanks,
so
Ski.
much.
Dennis?
Appreciate it.
Great job on branch pickup. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome.
Thank you,
After
sir.
that storm, it was a lot of work.
Next, we have Parks and Rec. We have Jennifer Bennison.
Good evening.
Good evening, Council and Mayor.
Good evening.
As Ms. Labby touched on, Rock the Park tickets go on sale on Monday, so we're pretty excited about this year's season. Summer camp registration is happening now. Summer swim lessons registration is going to begin next week. Hiring lifeguards. So I'm putting it out there. If anybody wants to become a lifeguard, come see us. We will train you because we need lifeguards to get these pools open for the summer. Community gardens are scheduled to open Mother's Day. However, it's going to be completely weather dependent, so we will let anybody know that does currently have a garden once service is allowed to get in there and get those tilled up. We'll let them know when those are open. We are working on a community day at Akron Rubber Ducks. I've reached out to the mayor. They've got some fun things that they want to do for our community. It will be just for Twinsburg community, these special events. So we're looking forward to that. basically that's all we've got going on in Parks and Rec world, so we hope to see you guys out at some of our events. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
I have a
Thank you.
question.
I have a question.
What's the age of the lifeguards, do you know, when you're hiring?
15.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I think we have one more. Christina, you gonna give it a shot? Day 2 and she's ready to roll.
Sure. I mean, two days in and they're throwing me in. So at the last meeting, which I was a member in the audience attending, Mr. Fury gave us some numbers for income tax for February. So I do have updated numbers for March. March 2023 income tax receipts were $1,602,503.60. That is a 5% decrease from 2022's numbers, which were $1,685,633.27. However, year to date, we are 10% up from where we were last year. Currently through March, we've collected $6,385,000, and this point last year was about $5.9 million. I know that there has been big discussion on work from home participants. So we did have $89,000 in refunds through March. 36,000 of that was work from home participants. So we are going to see a hit from companies and businesses who are still allowing employees to work from home. It's just inevitable post-COVID. It's actually lower than I thought it would be, but I think most companies are requiring their employees to come back to work. We just completed the gap conversion yesterday, so we sent those over to the auditors. They will let us know shortly when they're going to come in and really start the financial audit, so that should be done by June 30th. And then the beginning of June, I will be bringing the tax budget to council. It will need to be passed into the Summit County Budget Commission by July 15th. So my hope is to get 3 readings on that. Shouldn't be too difficult. There's no tax rate changes, so I don't anticipate it being any different from last year.
Great job. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's it, sir.
All right, wonderful. That moves us along to legislation. We'll start this evening with ordinance 44, 2023.
An ordinance amending chapters 1174.05D and 1195.05D5L of the codified ordinances of the city of Twinsburg regarding driveway construction standards.
All right, this time I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 44, 2023. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Deeds seconds. Any discussion?
This simply fixes the code where it unifies both 1174 and 1195 and makes them consistent on how driveways need to be constructed in the city of Twinsburg. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Any other discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ordinance 44, 2023 passes 7-0. Moving along to ordinance 49, 2023.
An ordinance authorizing the continuation of various agreements under the Community Reinvestment Area Program created pursuant to Ohio Revised Code, Section 3735.66 for real property tax abatement.
This time I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 49, 2023. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Any discussion on 49, 2023?
CRA agreements are property tax agreements that lower investment in the community, and the city has a contract with the schools to reimburse them for the monies. So, and this is for 5 contracts that were approved by the our review commission with the county and the school system. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Any additional? All right, Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes?
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Ordinance 49, 2023 passes 7-0. Ordinance 50, 2023.
An ordinance authorizing the continuation of various agreements to provide tax incentives under the terms and conditions of the Twinsburg Occupancy Program established by Ordinance 144, 2004.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 50, 2023. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Any discussion on 50-2023?
Top agreements are Twinsburg occupancy programs, which have businesses either stay or move into existing structures, and they're given a discount on the income tax that they produce based on additional employment. And this contract, which is again reviewed by our committee, extends 6 of those contracts. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Any additional discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Ordinance 50-2023 passes 7-0. Moving along to ordinance 51-2023.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with 48 Hour Books to provide tax incentives under the terms and conditions of the Twinsburg occupancy program.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 51-2023. May I have a second?
I'll second. Yield.
Yield.
Post.
I'll take that one.
Mr. Post seconds. Any additional discussion on ordinance 51?
This is a new agreement that brings in 38 full-time, 8 part-time employees from another city for an increment of a discount of 30% on their income tax for 6 years. Thank you.
Any additional discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Ordinance 51-2023 passes 7-0. Move along to ordinance 52-2023.
An ordinance amending the Twinsburg occupancy program agreement between the City of Twinsburg and Integral Incorporated as recommended by the Tax Incentive Review Council.
Ordinance 52-2023 now stands on its second reading. Ordinance 53-2023.
An ordinance amending the Twinsburg occupancy program agreement between the City of Twinsburg and Cifron as recommended by the Tax Incentive Review Council.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 53-2023. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any additional discussion on 53-2023? Hearing none. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Ordinance 53-2023 passes 7-0. Moving along to ordinance 55-2023.
An ordinance amending the current year appropriations for the general revenue account as established in ordinance 28-2023, the appropriation ordinance for the City of Twinsburg for the year 2023 and declaring an emergency.
All right, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 55-2023. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any further discussion?
This allows us to add additional employee to our engineering department to oversee construction projects. This will be, pardon?
It's on first reading.
First
Oh.
reading.
I thought we were,
We're not making a motion.
okay.
Suspending the rules.
You need to suspend.
I thought it was an emergency.
55.
Suspend the 3 reading rule.
Yeah, 55 we're passing on
She
the
needs
second
it as an
reading.
emergency. Yeah.
Okay. So we're still adding one person to oversee construction projects on an emergency.
That's correct.
We need to hire the person quickly because it's construction season.
So we have to read the emergency first.
So we have to go.
For clarification, are we voting on this evening?
We are. We need the emergency clause first and then vote on the emergency clause.
So at this time, thank you, Mr. Fury, for that. At this time, I would like to rescind the previous motion and make a motion to suspend the 3 reading rule and place ordinance 55-2023 on its third and final reading. May I have a second?
I second.
Mr. Fury seconds. A discussion on the emergency clause.
The reason for the emergency is we want to hire this person now.
Any additional discussion? Shannon, please call the roll on the suspension of the 3 reading rule.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
All right, the suspension of the 3 reading rule passes 7-0. This time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 55-2023 as an emergency. May I have a second?
Second it?
Mr. Fury seconds. Any additional discussion?
No.
on 55.
No.
All right, hearing none, Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Ordinance 55, 2023 passes as an emergency 7-0. My apologies on that. Ordinance 58, 2023.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Ohio Department of Transportation to participate in the ODOT road salt contracts awarded in 2023 and declaring an emergency.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 58, 2023 on its third and final reading. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Fury seconds. Any discussion?
Want to buy cheap salt now?
Cheap salt now. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Suspension of the three reading rule passes 7-0. Now I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 58, 2023 as an emergency. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Any additional discussion?
Mr. Barr, excuse me. I just want to, on our sheet, it's written as a resolution. I just wanted to verify that it is an ordinance.
It is an ordinance.
Okay. Thank you. That's all I had.
Gotcha. Good catch. Thank you, Mr. Bellin, for the clarification. So Mrs. Walker second. Any additional discussion? All right, hearing none. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ordinance 58, 2023 passes as an emergency 7-0. Moving on to ordinance 59, 2023.
An ordinance amending ordinance 48, 2022 to reflect the vehicle and equipment pricing adjustments for the purchase of a mower and declaring an emergency.
At this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 59, 2023 on its third and final reading. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Deeds seconds. Any discussion?
The reason for the emergency is we want to buy the mower now, and we have to put $6,900 into the fund because the cost of the mower went up from the time that it was originally bid. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Any additional discussion? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Suspension of the three reading rule passes 7-0. This time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 59, 2023 as an emergency. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Deeds seconds. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Ordinance 59, 2023 passes as an emergency 7-0. Moving along to ordinance 60, 2023.
An ordinance amending section 1148 and 1151 of the Twinsburg zoning and development regulations, setting forth the permitted uses in a C5 mixed residence business district.
Ordinance 60, 2023 now stands on its second reading. Ordinance 61, 2023.
An ordinance authorizing the sale at auction of certain personal property owned by the city of Twinsburg and no longer needed for municipal purposes.
Ordinance 61, 2023 also now stands on its second reading. Ordinance 62, 2023.
An ordinance authorizing the city to donate certain personal property owned by the city of Twinsburg and no longer needed for municipal purposes to the Twinsburg Historical Society.
Ordinance 61, 2023 now stands on its first reading. Ordinance 63, 2023.
An ordinance authorizing the city to donate certain personal property owned by the city of Twinsburg and no longer needed for municipal purposes to the First Congregational Church of Twinsburg.
Ordinance 63, 2023 now stands on its first reading. Ordinance 64, 2023.
An ordinance authorizing the city to enter into an agreement for the acquisition of a 2023 Jacobson Eclipse 360 gas electric T-mower and declaring an emergency.
This time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules. Place ordinance 64, 2023 on its third and final reading. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Any discussion?
The reason for the emergency is we need to buy the mower now.
Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Suspension of the three reading rule passes 7-0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 64, 2023 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Labby seconds. Any further discussion on 64, 2023? Hearing none. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
All right. 64, 2023 passes as an emergency 7-0. Moving along to ordinance 65, 2023.
A resolution acknowledging council's receipt and review of the monthly financial statements submitted by the Finance Department for January, February, and March 2023.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt resolution 65, 2023. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any further discussion? Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
All right, resolution 65, 2023 passes 7-0. Ordinance 66, 2023.
An ordinance authorizing the mayor of the city of Twinsburg, Ohio to enter into a contract with the Twinsburg Firefighters Local 3630 International Association of Firefighters and declaring an emergency.
All right, at this time, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules and place ordinance 66, 2023 on its third and final reading. May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any discussion?
The reason for the emergency is so the union contract can be entered into as immediately.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Anything additional? Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby? Mr.
Yes.
Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Suspension of the three reading rule passes 7-0. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to adopt ordinance 66, 2023 as an emergency. May I have a second?
I'll second.
Are you?
Mr. Bellin seconds. Any additional discussion on 66, 2023?
I'd just like to thank Mr. Vazana, the mayor, administration, chief, everybody working together to bring this to us. Thank you.
Agree. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Any additional discussion? Hearing none. Shannon, would you call the roll, please?
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby? Mr.
Yes.
Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Ordinance 66, 2023 passes as an emergency 7-0. That concludes the legislation. We move on to unfinished business, new business, and miscellaneous. Mr. Deeds, do you have anything additional this evening?
Yeah, I'll just mention something real quickly. I had the day off of work today, so I was fortunate enough to go down to the wastewater treatment plant where our director Nate took me on a tour for 2 hours. Very impressive. The things that we do within the city and the folks that work within that department, amazing. And just as you walk through there, number one, the age of some of the equipment that they have there. You know, you've got equipment, compressors, generators and things that are 20, 30 years old, and they're finding parts and pieces for it. And it looks, I'm not saying it looks brand new, but boy, it looks pretty good and it works pretty good for the age. And just how do I say this? The positive attitude from the group, from Nate. You look at how well everything is kept up. Just kudos to that whole group of people. They do a phenomenal job. And so that's it. That's all I got to say today. Nice job for them.
Thank you for sharing, Mr. Deeds. Appreciate that. Mr. Post, anything you'd like to add this evening?
Just want to remind everybody, if they want to order their flags, I've talked about it every council meeting here. Through the Rotary, the 5 holiday flag package, it is $40. Gets you 5 flags. You guys see those flags on people's tree lawns. And that this will be the last time you hear it from me because it needs to be done. I'm checking the website here, Shannon. You know, it got about the end of the month, right?
April 30th.
April 30th, yeah, by the end of the month. Not on the website here. So order your flags. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Post. Mr. Fury, anything you'd like to add this evening?
Just if you're interested in donating to the Wounded Warriors, I will match dollar for dollar any donations that are put on my Facebook account through April 30th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fury.
Very nice.
Mrs. Labby, anything additional?
Have a happy birthday, Bill.
Thank you.
Nothing further from me.
Thank you, Mrs. Labby. Mr. Bellin, do you have anything additional this evening?
Just one thing, we were given new ward maps, and there are new ward maps over here in council chambers. I would like to thank Mayor Scafida for making that happen. And I would like to take the opportunity again to thank the Redistricting Commission. I know that that is not easy work, so thank you very much. Nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Walker.
I have nothing, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Walker. Mr. Scafidi, do you have anything you'd like to add this evening?
No, sir, I have nothing further. Thank you.
Mr. Vazana?
I would like to wish Councilman Fury a happy early birthday.
Thank you, Mayor.
And I would also say welcome aboard to our new finance director, and I look forward to working with her.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vazana. Ms. Conway, anything additional this evening?
Not tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Collins?
Nothing, thank you.
All right. We have no absent members to excuse. So at this time, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting at 8:25 PM. May I have a second?
Second.
Mrs. Walker seconds. Any discussion?
No.
Shannon, please call the roll.
Mr. Barr?
Yes.
Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
Mrs. Labby?
Yes.
Mr. Bellin?
Yes.
Mr. Deeds?
Yes.
Mr. Fury?
Yes.
Mr. Post?
Yes.
Motion passes 7-0. Meeting is now adjourned. Thank you.